There you go, it's on now. The red light's on. Should we say this is take one?
I'm sitting on my glasses or something. I am Pam Bleem. I'm the school counselor and assistant principal for Manson Northwest Webster School. And this is my teaching colleague, Elaine Merritt, and she teaches 4th grade. She had taught special education for a long time and then had the opportunity to switch into the general ed classroom. And when I observed her, I did the selective verbatim technique, and then I also did the at-task technique for her Mayan and computer use during the Daily 5. My first question, Mrs. Merritt, is what did you think went well in your lesson?
We've been doing Daily 5 within our building, and I work really hard to try to stick to the schematic or theme work of, or the framework of having a short mini lesson and then getting the kids involved in what it is that they need to do, and then having them make their choice. Are they going to read to self? Are they going to read to someone? Are they going to do some word work? Are they going to work on writing? Within this particular lesson, can I be really frank? It was about a nonfiction topic, which was, to me, boring, like learning about what labels are. And so I needed to get to the kids. I needed to do the mini lesson quickly, so that I'm not standing up there doing a dog and pony show, and they needed to get into looking for labels, whether it be in a nonfiction book someplace or finding a book on the computer. And so basically what happened within the lesson is we got down, we discussed what a label was, and then we went right into the framework of the students themselves, finding labels, and deciding what is a label and what is a caption, what's the difference between that, and then finding them in the books, and then going and looking for them on the computer. So I think I stuck to my time frame. I tried to meet everybody else. I tried to meet everybody's needs. I had all kinds of books on the floor for the kids to get into that were at various levels. I tried to, when they got onto the Mayan books, of course that's a differentiated reading system within the computer, and so when they got onto their recommended nonfiction books, then they could find labels at their level. So we tried to take care of everything that way. So.
Reflecting upon your lesson that you did that day, what did you think did not go as planned?
I think I need to create deeper questions. I do really, really well, like we've been studying depth of knowledge. I do really well with recall, and I do really, really well with skills and concepts. I like to compare the depth of knowledge questions to QAR up there, which is right there, questions, think and search, author and me, and on my own. And I think I need to do a better job. Author and me and on my own types of questions are similar to the synthesizing in my head. And I need to do a better job of asking questions that will make the child think instead of me giving them an answer. And that's something I've been working on for quite some time.
What impact did the planning for the conversation have on the coaching conversations and the conference itself that you and I had before we actually did the observation?
It helped me narrow down what I needed to do for the mini lesson. Within the Daily 5 framework, the mini lessons need to be, if you think of the KISS system, keep it simple, silly. They need to be simple and direct and juicy, I guess. And the more we keep the kids hopping, they learn, and then they're not just learning that one period of 10 minutes on that mini lesson. We may hit that mini lesson again several times, not every days in a row, but it's like you pre-teach it, you come back to it, you come back to it, you come back to it, maybe at different times, but then as that cycles throughout the year, then the kids have a tendency to remember what it is that they need to do. And so what our conversation did was help me figure out how to keep it simple, silly. So, because sometimes I can pile in too much and I don't get done what I need to get done. Because the most important part of the Daily 5 framework, in my opinion, is after I get the mini lesson, the whole group mini lesson done, it's the conferring work that I do with the kids. Conferring on reading and conferring on written language. And I don't have enough minutes in the day to do that, and something's always interrupting it. But we've got 2 big projects we're working on right now, and so I'm pushing confer. Because that's where, like, if we're working on a writing theme, or like if we had the label, like the label lesson, I could pull a student up here later and say, what are you reading? Do you have any nonfiction types of things that you're reading? Look for the labels, and then so it reinforces that again when I'm working with them one-on-one. That is the most important time.
I'm glad you mentioned the conferring, because that was something that was demonstrated extremely well the day I observed, and the way that you were meeting the needs of all the students and having them come one-on-one up to the table, yet all the children at the desk were also engaged in their read to self on the My on Monday.
Yeah.
My next question would be, what plans do you have for the at-task data that I shared with you about the engagement of the students on the
Well, first of all, I'm going to compare to see, I'll go back and take that data and take a look at the data of who my struggling readers are and who typically have difficulties with written language and literacy skills. And then I will see if there's a comparison in the on-task and off-task because of that. And I will also take a look at who are the ones that I know have short attention spans, and see what I need to do to maybe even make their goals and mini time shorter and more frequent. So, I mean, there's all kinds of things I can do with that data.
As you reflect on the elements of an effective educator evaluation system, describe how your approach would be different when working with an evaluator to bring about student achievement. That is a long question.
When I'm thinking about the teaching standards? Okay, so read that again.
As you reflect on the elements of an effective educator evaluator system, like you said, tying it to the Iowa teaching standards, describe how your approach would be different when working with an evaluator to bring about student achievement.
Oh, would that be similar to conversations like I have with Mr. Daggett and the principal, or the conversations that you and I have?
Or with all of us?
It would be constantly. I'm constantly having conversations, and even with the building leadership team and the district leadership team that I'm on, I'm all about computer education and computer tools, but I'm constantly going back to the book, Whatever It Takes, and I'm constantly bringing up the different types of teachers and making sure that we're not just throwing electronic worksheets in front of these kids, that we're still giving them valuable experiences. And so I'm constantly having those questions, because teaching for understanding is not a worksheet, whether it's a piece of paper or on an electronic form. So because students can have lack of engagement when we are not teaching for understanding. Teaching for understanding has to deal with pulling out more depth of knowledge And so we do have lots of conversations about depth of knowledge as well. So I don't know if I
That was
answered that
excellent.
well
That was
enough, but
excellent. 'Cause
those are all the
collaboration-
things that I have been trying to make better for myself, whether it be in math, whether it be in Daily 5, for example. In math, I've had discussions with Mr. Daggett, and I think I may have said some things with you as well, that in everyday math, that curriculum wraps, and it does so well wrapping the skills so that the kids are getting reviews, and a lot of pre-teaching going on through the math box pages. But there's not as much deep understanding. It's like, can't we take some of those skills and put them into some problem-solving situations that are deeper instead of doing all these workbook pages? And so that's been my goal. And those are things that I've been trying to work on in here. It takes a lot of time, but it's worth it in the end, I think.
It sounds like you're making good connections with the kids' learning and also your
I hope so.
career teacher plan goals, and then having good
I hope so.
collaboration with your colleagues. What pieces of information from this learning do you find the most useful from your observation of that task and selective verbatim?
That I find the most useful from what I did with the kids.
Mm-hmm.
Basically trying to get them to be in control of their learning a little bit so that I could I labeled something for them, but then I wanted them to go after and find it. And then if they make mistakes, that mistakes are okay, that's how we learn. And to continue to keep coaching them and to encourage stamina in learning, even on something so simple as trying to find a label, you know, and trying to decide if it's a label or a caption or a title. Those are the big things that we had to go and tell the difference, you know, discuss what the differences were, and to not give up. And that one was a simple task, but some of the math things that I'm doing right now, I'm having to encourage tons and tons and tons of don't give up. You can figure this out. And if we make a mistake, it's okay we make a mistake. So I need to keep that going. I'm so used to, you know, former special ed teacher, you kind of have to lead them to the answer. And I've got to, and we've been discussing about this in our in-services, that we can't be afraid to fail ourselves, and we can't be afraid to let the child fail, because, and it's not failure, it's making a mistake to learn. So, and that's the type of learning that's remembered. And so that's what I have to work on. I have to work on framing questions to help them. And I don't know if I veered off your question or not, but
No, I think that's great because you're doing good reflecting of.
But those are the things that I'm trying to work on. I'm trying to not lead them to the answers as much, guide them, yes, but not spoon feed the steps.
Okay. What things will you do differently next time? Or what things will you do differently in your instruction?
I will continue working on what types of questions. And sometimes that's hard to think of on your feet, but I'm getting better at it with literature, with when we're having to read nonfiction literature, or when I'm doing my read alouds. I'm getting better at the level 3s and level 4 types of questions that have to do more with synthesizing and not just giving them the answer. Have to do more with inferencing and some of the ideas and concepts that they have to figure out on their own and have to associate the literature with their own lives. And I'm getting better at it in that area, but now I have to get better at it in science and in math.
Okay.
I'm still not an expert at it, but I will continually have to work at it for a while.
I think with your strengths in collaborating and being on the building leadership team and having all that access to the learning and through the in-service and professional development, I think that you'll be.
Well, and it's been a huge leap for me to go from teaching special ed, from behavior disorder to academics, and then going into gen ed, and then you have your tag kids on one end, and I've been down on the low end, and it's not that I can't differentiate all of that, but I myself, in my own mind, need encouragement and strength and stamina to help stretch those tag kids. So that's another thing that I have to work on. But it's coming. I mean, it just, Rome wasn't built in a day, and it's something that I just have to keep working on, so.
What things will you keep the same with your instruction?
I will keep, first of all, loving my students, okay? Second of all, understanding what type of learner that they are and the multi-intelligences that I have in my room. Third of all, I will continue to work on building social relationships and empathy in here. And then the academics will come. Because if a child is not emotionally and socially healthy, academics will not make any difference.
Okay. In conclusion, based on data from the observation, what are some things that I can do to help provide either support or resources as your colleague or coach or mentor? I'm not in your evaluator role. Our lead principal, Mr. Daggett, does that, but if I were to be on your data team or be on your building leadership team, what would be some things that I could do to provide?
First of all, you need to know that you do a lot already. When I have students that are, and I know this is in the counseling role more than the academic role, but when I have students that are having difficulties, you and I confer 24/7. When I have somebody who is just so emotionally not feeling well or needs a safe place to go, and it's not that I'm sending them the safe place could be in my room, but you are always there helping me figure out a plan, because I do get tired. And sometimes it takes a conversation to, oh, let's try this. And you're always upbeat about it, and I'm just very thankful that you're there for me on that.
Well,
So.
and I am the same with you. You're a great collaborator. I think.
And you have a lot of resources. You have a lot of, it's like during reading time, there've been a couple of kids, and I've got one right now I'm ready to start. She's having some anger issues. So we have those books about reading, and I've got the new little girl that just came in wants to do them with her and do those exercises with her, and that's so
Excellent.
powerful. And that's something that I had gotten from you. And so maybe we have some read to self time where those two work together.
Well, that sounds excellent. And that
So.
would tie to your daily 5 structure.
Exactly.
And it would concentrate on the whole child.
Yes.
Which is what our district does. We try to find and pinpoint the root of maybe why the learning or the reading goals aren't being met at times. I think one resource that I have that I'm also going to implement in my own guidance classes is I found a form from a couple professional developments ago where you actually script out your mini lessons. And then
yeah.
right at the top it says, it's actually on my desk right now, but there's a question at the top that you actually write or choose 2 different depth of knowledge questions.
I think that sounds like
For
something
the
awesome.
Yeah, and then you can go back, and I'm gonna do it too in guidance to make sure that I do have, like you say, the QAR.
Mhm.
Is it in the book? Is it
Mhm.
in my head? Do I think and search for it? And the quadrants,
Yep.
the 4 quadrants too.
Quadrants.
For
I
those.
look at that all the time.
I think your
all the
visuals are
time.
excellent for
So,
your learners also. The way you have your posters in your room and
They're tools.
yes,
They're
so
tools.
that is excellent.
It's not just a flimsy little bulletin boards like we used to have. They have to be meaningful and useful. So.
Well, Mrs. Merritt and I are going to take a quick break here, and then on the part 2 of this video that I'll be submitting to the iEvaluate course for Marita Rives is the IC2P plan that we're going to put in place from the observation and conversations and collaboration that Mrs. Merritt and I have had together.
Elaine, I'm so technology.